Ever wonder why you people only come to me for the dirty work?
Because you're a vampire? You sleep in the actual dirt? Or a coffin?
I mean, there's sort of a point buried in there.
Marvel Midnight Suns is a turn-based RPG released in December 2022, and here is my personal review. It centers around the Midnight Suns in addition to a variety of famous Marvel superheroes as they work together to take down an impending threat. Here are the specifics. So Lilith is attempted to be resurrected by Hydra so they can take over the world. That's basically the plot in a nutshell, and it's a very similar to XCOM storylines. You play as a resurrected demigod called the Hunter, an original character who is basically Lilith's son or daughter, raised by Agatha Harkness. You live in an abbey with the Midnight Suns, Magic, Blade, Robbie Reyes Ghost Rider, and Nico Minori. Iron Man and Doctor Strange also live there. This is basically your starting party, and you also unlock Captain Marvel, Spider-Man, Captain America, Wolverine, Scarlet Witch and Hulk throughout the story. But if you were expecting an XCOM experience involving gameplay, it's far different. There is no grid, there are no stealth elements, and there are no hit probabilities. Instead you have a small battlefield, and you fight using cards. You typically play 3 cards per turn, though there are rules to certain cards that allow you to play 1 additional card. There are 3 main card types: attack cards, strategy cards, and heroic cards. Attack cards mainly deal damage to enemies, strategy cards do things like buff allies or debuff enemies, and heroic cards have orange numbers at the top left corner, meaning they can only be used if you have enough heroic points. Using attack or strategy cards increase your heroic points. You also have a limit of moves, meaning you can take a hero and move them someplace else, either to set up an environmental attack or lead enemies into a trap of sorts. Strategic for sure. Environmental attacks can also be done. If you have enough heroic points, you can do things like leap off a table onto an enemy, throw a heavy object at an enemy, or even take down a large pole onto an enemy. Some of these attack only target one enemy, while others target multiple. Like in XCOM, you also have a share of different enemies that do different things. Enemies that can clone, turn invisible, protect other objects, blow themselves up. There are also minion-class enemies, meaning they have no health bar, and they're neutralized with just 1 hit. You're encouraged to use quick attack cards to take these enemies out and get awarded a free card use. There are many types of missions to play out. Sometimes you just have to defeat all the enemies that come in 3 or 4 waves. Sometimes you have to protect or destroy devices in a number of turns. Even missions like obtain data or kidnap an enemy are here. On occasion, a boss will appear in the middle of the fight, such as Venom, Crossbones, or Sabretooth. These bosses need to be KO'd 2 times in order to be defeated. It's addicting gameplay, but it can be too easy at times. The only way missions can be outright difficult is if you pick characters that are just not compatible with the objective you're trying to achieve. Some characters are good at taking out multiple enemies at a time. Some characters are good at staying alive or keeping others alive with armor. Outside of battles, there is a lot more focus on the hub world.
Mind if I keep you around for ego-boosting purposes?
You know where I live.
Thanks. I just needed to get that off my chest.
Firaxis really put themselves to the test with this part of the game, where it's actually more relative to Fire Emblem games today, where you can roam around the castle grounds and interact with other characters. And this honestly is not a bad first attempt. It's certainly a much grander game in scope if you remove the battlefield from the equation. You have little side missions throughout the game where you have to do specific tasks in order to build relationships with other heroes and unlock rewards. The Hunter also has a collection of special abilities called the Words of Power, where you can make secrets appear and uncover more parts of the map. I specifically find it odd how the Hunter needs ancient powers in order to open wooden doors. There's a lot of dialogue in this game, which is a giant leap from XCOM 2. There are branching dialogue paths, you'll have neutral options, light options and dark options. So, the Hunter can either develop a light or dark persona, whether you choose to obtain more of one than the other. You get certain rewards, such as a unique outfit with a special ability for leaning light or dark enough. However, what you say to the other heroes can come at the cost of losing friend experience points. When talking to a non-hero such as the Caretaker or Agatha, you're more comfortable with farming light or dark points since they have no relationship meters. This game I feel tries too hard to make you want to do activities with the other heroes. I feel, all as a way to make your team stronger. You have shop class, emo club and book club, and they're all rather ways to make you take a break from battling and resource gathering than anything else. You're sure to get your moments here and there, though. I found it amusing how the book club got into a serious conversation about a book called Crash Morgan that Wolverine picked for them to read.
Whenever Crash is unconscious.
The helmet changes color. Turns bronze like the suit.
Right. Then Glaxogorp pulls up on the rocket sled and takes Crash and the princess into custody. That's when they make the switch. Crash and Glaxogorp change form, but where do they stash the princess?
Does Romut not have a secret compartment?
That can barely hold Crash's hydro gun. It's not big enough to secure the princess. Their plan required her to be in Crash's suit. The opaque helmet keeps her safe.
There are also one-on-one conversations you can have with heroes, and they're clearly designed to get Hunter to know the heroes all more on a personal level and what their interests are. So you might end up talking about baseball with Captain America. Or you'll talk about being a social outcast with Magic or Nico, and these typically end in you leveling up with that character or giving them a gift, so they raise friend experience points. For those that like XCOM's farming and upgrading elements, they're still there. You can make upgrades to the Abbey in order to unlock more features and abilities. You collect more intel so you can dispatch heroes.
I'm sure Tony won't mind if I install XCOM on Central. It's for tactical research.
You can collect resources in order to unlock items and more. You can also make upgrades to cards. Alloys are what you rely on in order to find new card or duplicates to cards. If you have two of the same card, you can upgrade that card to make it stronger or more effective using these purple, orange or green essence, which are more currencies. Some cards also have variations to them, marked with a star. These act as little extra bonuses, like it will apply a debuff, or if you KO the enemy you draw another card in your hand. There is a whole lot to take in with the out-of-battle mechanics, and I feel the game does a great job slowly introducing you to each of them one by one, without throwing everything at you all at once. It certainly allows you to progress on your own terms and your own pace, so that the only thing that feels linear is the main story. It definitely feels like a completely different game from XCOM. One thing that's worth mentioning is the gold collar. It's part of the storyline, and without spoiling too much, like with Cyclops' visor, it can't be removed. It's meant to protect the hunter in a supernatural way, and if it's broken or taken off, something bad will happen. I did not know about this before playing for the first time. It can get really distracting, I will say. I was contemplating back and forth whether or not to pick the man or the woman, but I'm glad I picked the woman for this reason alone. You can only technically remove it with a mod on PC. In some respects, it's a very beautiful game. In others, it lags behind a generation. The character models I feel are PS4 quality. Peter Parker doesn't even look as good as those same Spider-Man games. I was kinda uneasy looking at Wolverine's arms. Like, his body hair is a texture rather than actual hair, which I found to be rather questionable. The lighting and the scenery, however, are two of the visual's strong suits. Light can reflect off Iron Man's armor or the hunter's collar for instance, and it shines. The environments look picturesque. You can take a stroll around the Abbey, and it won't feel like a last-gen game. In battles, you can attack an enemy and explosions can happen. You can drop them and rubble will fly up. Papers will fly everywhere in a library or church setting. Those kinds of little touches do make up for the lack of graphical quality for the most part. Customization has a lot of focus on this game, much more than I thought there would be. There are a lot of cosmetics to unlock. Your character gets the most cosmetics, and you can change things from the clothes you're wearing to the face paint, head accessories, your swords, and color scheme. You can also edit your face, skin and hairstyle. Face paint and accessories can also be colored, and you can simply just pick what color you want available for 10 gloss each. So that's good. You can also make additions to your bedroom and other parts of the castle, such as the picture frames, as well as what each picture includes. However, this feature feels like a throw-in that doesn't necessarily make a difference to the game, aside from giving you your own little things to design. There are many different currencies that you use throughout the game. Blue currency is called gloss. This currency is used for cosmetic items and gifts to other heroes. Yellow currency is token, which you spend on castle upgrades. Orange, green and purple currency is used to upgrade and create cards. There are also resources you can collect around the castle like plants in order to craft items. Each hero can also be customized. You can edit their outfit, their everyday attire, and their swim attire. Each hero has like 4 to 8 different outfits, and then you can also unlock color variations. For casual attire, you can choose between things like different shirt, hoodies, sweaters. They really didn't spend a lot of time on the clothing, but you also have the option to make them wear something different every day, which is a nice feature. This can also be applied to the costumes. What's also neat is that you can allow the heroes to wear their costumes in the Abbey, and it makes for some cool Justice League-esque scheming.
To think, long ago the nation of Transia was once the seat of power for the heroic knights of Wondergore.
Might as well be Camp Hydra these days.
They're pulling in reinforcements from everywhere. But reinforcing what exactly?
But for some reason, you can't do this with Iron Man and Ghost Rider. I'm guessing it's because of their voices change when in costume. I'm not sure. At the time I'm making this video, I have yet to unlock the Hulk, but I have to think he also cannot wear his costume around the Abbey for this reason as well. So far, there's only one DLC pass, and it's very likely that's the only DLC that's coming. This pass includes 4 new heroes, new story missions, an Abbey upgrade and more costumes. This includes Deadpool, Venom, Morbius and Storm. It is very expensive at $50, but of course, this is the Marvel license and of course anything that has to do with Disney will be expensive these days. I am hoping that eventually there will be a discount, or if you just want one DLC hero, they cost $15 a piece. But overall, Marvel Midnight Suns is a very underrated RPG that I encourage others to try. To be upfront, the game doesn't seem like it's selling well. I think it's because Marvel's Avengers really soured a lot of people's hype for this game, in addition to them releasing the game in December and competing with many other games. I think I have gotten it when it was on a post-holiday sale though. But yeah, it's a very well-made strategy game with a beefier story than it has any right to have.